Either you pay the deposit or you wait. The emergency room fell silent. A middle-aged man, his shirt soaked with blood from a deep cut across his side, struggled to stay standing as two nurses tried to keep him from collapsing. "I just need treatment," he whispered. Across from him, Dr. Nathan Caldwell folded his arms. "This isn't charity." Several people in the waiting room looked away. Others quietly recorded with their phones. The injured man reached into a jacket and slowly placed an old leather notebook on the admissions counter. "I don't have my wallet," he said. "Please help my daughter first." The receptionist frowned. "What daughter?" He looked toward the ambulance bay. "My little girl. She was in the accident with me." Confused nurses rushed outside. Moments later, only one ambulance sat there. It was empty. The daughter wasn't anywhere. Now everyone had a different question. Who exactly was this man? And why was he talking about someone who wasn't there? Only 20 minutes earlier, traffic on Oak Ridge Boulevard had come to a complete stop after a delivery truck lost control in the rain. Several vehicles collided. Witnesses later said one man ignored his own injuries to crawl through shattered glass and pull a frightened lady from an overturned SUV. He carried her away seconds before the vehicle caught fire. The lady survived. The stranger suffered the worst injuries. By the time paramedics insisted on bringing him to Riverside Medical Center, he had already disappeared once. Not to run, to search. He kept asking only one question. "Has anyone found her parents?" No one knew who the child belonged to. She had already been transferred to pediatric trauma. The stranger refused pain medication until he knew she was alive. Inside the emergency department, Dr. Nathan Caldwell wasn't known for patience. He was one of Riverside's best trauma surgeons. Fast, confident, technically brilliant. But years of endless shifts had slowly replaced compassion with efficiency. To him, rules protected hospitals. Rules prevented abuse. Rules kept the system functioning. When he heard the admissions clerk whisper, "No insurance, no identification," he sighed before even seeing the patient. Another one. The words escaped almost automatically. Not loudly, but loudly enough. Several nurses exchanged uncomfortable glances. One of them, Emily Brooks, quietly said, "Doctor, he's bleeding." Nathan didn't even look up from the chart. "So are 6 other patients." Emily hesitated. "He says he lost everything during the accident." Nathan replied without emotion, "Then he'll need someone to guarantee payment." The injured man looked directly at him. His face showed pain, not anger. "I understand policies," he said calmly, "but policies were created to protect people, not replace humanity." Nathan gave a short laugh. "That's easy to say when someone else pays the bills." The waiting room became painfully quiet. Emily couldn't stop thinking about that sentence. She had worked beside Dr. Caldwell for 8 years. She had seen him save hundreds of lives. She had also watched something inside him slowly disappear. He hadn't always been like this. There was a time when he stayed hours after his shift comforting frightened families. Now he barely made eye contact. She wondered what had happened. Meanwhile, hospital security began trying to identify the injured stranger. No phone, no wallet, no identification, only the worn leather notebook. Inside were handwritten pages, not financial records, not business documents, names, dates, hospital room numbers, short handwritten notes. Visited every Thursday. Needed someone to listen. Graduated nursing school. Cancer-free today. Finally smiled. Page after page. Hundreds of names. Emily stared at them. "What is this?" The stranger smiled weakly. "Promises." Before she could ask another question, he lost consciousness. Everything changed. Dr. Caldwell immediately ordered emergency surgery. Insurance no longer mattered, because now the patient could die. Within seconds, the trauma team moved with extraordinary precision for 3 exhausting hours. Nathan fought to save the same man he had publicly dismissed. The surgery succeeded. Barely. As Nathan removed his gloves, he noticed a leather notebook sitting on a nearby table. Curiosity finally replaced irritation. He opened another page. Each entry ended with the same sentence: "No one heals alone." Nathan quietly closed it. Something about those words lingered longer than he expected. The following morning, a woman in her 70s entered the intensive care unit, carrying fresh flowers. She wasn't family, at least not according to hospital records. She asked only one question: "Is Daniel awake?" Emily looked surprised. "You know him?" The woman smiled. "He visited my husband every Sunday for 14 months. Family?" She shook her head. "No, he met him once in an elevator. Within an hour, another visitor arrived, then another, then 10 more. Teachers, retired firefighters, former patients, hospital volunteers, a janitor, a bus driver, a teenager wearing a college sweatshirt. None were relatives, yet every one of them had a story. He paid for my textbooks. He sat with my mother when I couldn't. He donated blood during my surgery. He taught me how to read after my stroke. He never asked for recognition." Emily had never seen anything like it. The waiting room slowly filled with strangers connected by one man. Nathan watched through the ICU window. Who was Daniel? Why had hundreds of ordinary people shown up? Then another question quietly entered his mind. Why had none of them mentioned money? Only kindness. By afternoon, the local news arrived. Not because Daniel was wealthy, not because he was famous, because social media videos from the emergency room had gone viral. Millions had watched the moment Dr. Caldwell said, "This isn't charity." Public criticism exploded. The hospital administration scheduled an emergency board meeting. Nathan assumed he would receive a warning, maybe suspension. He prepared his defense. Policies, procedures, financial realities. He believed he had followed protocol. Mostly. Then Emily handed him something. Daniel's notebook. "I think you should read page 83. Nathan opened it. The handwriting read, "The easiest time to become the wrong person is when you believe you're still the right one." Below it, a newspaper clipping. 23 years old. Headline: "Young medical student saves stranger during snowstorm." The photograph showed a smiling young man helping paramedics. Nathan froze. That student was him. He remembered that night instantly. He had skipped an exam to save a trap driver. His professor had told him something he'd never forgotten, or thought he'd forgotten. A doctor's first responsibility is the human being, not the paperwork. Nathan slowly lowered the notebook. How did Daniel have this? Emily found the answer first. Daniel Harper wasn't collecting names randomly. 25 years earlier, his wife had died after delaying treatment because she feared medical bills. She hadn't lacked medicine. She had lacked courage to ask for help. Daniel spent the rest of his life quietly visiting hospitals around the state, talking to lonely patients, funding transportation for families, paying utility bills anonymously, supporting nursing scholarships, never creating a charity in his own name, never giving speeches, only keeping promises. Each name in the notebook represented someone he refused to let suffer alone. Suddenly, the notebook wasn't simply paper. It was evidence of an entire life built around compassion. The board meeting began. Hospital executives filled the room, community representatives, medical staff, legal advisors. Nathan expected harsh criticism. Instead, board chair Margaret Ellis asked everyone to watch security footage, not from the confrontation, from the parking lot. The video showed Daniel crawling through broken glass, lifting the trapped lady, shielding her from flames with his own body, returning twice, searching for her parents while bleeding heavily himself. Nobody spoke. Nathan couldn't look away. He realized something devastating. The man he had dismissed had already risked his life for someone he didn't know, before asking the hospital for anything. Then came the biggest revelation. Margaret placed several documents on the table. I think everyone should understand why today's meeting matters. Daniel Harper wasn't the owner. He hadn't secretly bought the hospital. He hadn't inherited it. He had founded the nonprofit healthcare trust that rescued Riverside from bankruptcy nearly 15 years earlier. When the previous private owners planned to shut the hospital down, Daniel quietly donated nearly his entire fortune from selling his manufacturing company, not to control the hospital, but to transfer it into an independent community trust. Legally, no individual owned Riverside anymore. The community did. Daniel had deliberately refused naming rights, refused a building with his name, refused executive authority. He served as one unpaid trustee among many. Most employees had never seen him because he almost never attended public ceremonies. He believed hospitals should belong to patients, not benefactors. Nathan felt the room spin. The title everyone later used online, he owns a hospital, missed the deeper truth. Daniel had made sure no one ever could. When Daniel finally regained consciousness, Nathan entered quietly. No cameras, no lawyers, no administrators, just two chairs, one notebook. Nathan struggled to speak. "I'm sorry." Daniel studied him for a long moment. "Which part?" Nathan's eyes filled. "For forgetting why I became a doctor." Silence. Daniel reached toward the leather notebook. He placed it into Nathan's hands. "I think it's yours now." Nathan looked confused. "I don't deserve this." "No," Daniel replied gently. "You earn it one name at a time." Months passed. Riverside changed. Not because one doctor was punished, because an entire institution confronted what it had become. The hospital created an emergency dignity policy. No patient requiring urgent evaluation would ever again be delayed because of uncertainty over payment. Financial counselors replaced confrontational collection desks. Staff training focused not only on medical excellence, but human presence. Nathan volunteered to lead the first sessions. Every new employee heard the same story, not to shame anyone, but to remember. The leather notebook remained inside a glass case in the hospital education center. It wasn't displayed as a trophy. It was displayed as a question. Whose name will you remember today? Nathan never stopped adding pages. Not famous people, not wealthy donors, just ordinary patients whose lives reminded him why medicine exists. Years later, the little girl Daniel had rescued returned to Riverside as a pediatric resident. On her first day, Nathan handed her a blank leather notebook. She smiled through tears. "I know what this means." He nodded. "Good. Then keep it alive." Sometimes people think power changes the world. Sometimes money does. Sometimes titles do. But Riverside discovered something deeper. One ordinary notebook, filled with forgotten names, quietly transformed an entire hospital because it reminded everyone that healing begins long before medicine. Justice didn't arrive through revenge. It arrived through remembrance. Because when people become numbers, compassion disappears. When people become names, humanity returns. Life lesson: never allow system, success, or routine to make you forget the person standing in front of you. Competence saves lives, but compassion gives those lives meaning. Discussion question: if you had been Dr. Caldwell, what moment do you think would change you the most? The notebook, the security footage, or Daniel's forgiveness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely love to hear what you think.